All right, what's up, Chicago tough sports fans? I'm here with the GOAT, Paul Hitman Connor, and we are here to do a wrestling recap video for this past weekend. I know it's a little late past the weekend, but life happens. And, we do it when we do it, you know. As long as I want to start. I'm sorry if I'm distracted. There's like a fly that keeps going past me. Now there's two of them. So I'm trying to kill the flies here. Anyways, I'm going to start by saying I woke up Monday morning proud to be a pro wrestling fan. This is the kind of weekend that me, myself, I'm sure you, and other people who call themselves fans of pro wrestling have been craving for, have been thirsting for.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk NXT because you said you haven't watched TakeOver yet, so no spoilers on that.
No, I mean I pretty much know what happens. I just don't know exactly how it happened.
Okay.
So, I'll get to TakeOver tomorrow. Like I said, with everything that went on this weekend, wrestling was fun.
Now, if there's anyone who's going to be watching this and they call themselves a fan of pro wrestling and they didn't enjoy Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night, you are not a fan of pro wrestling. You can go to hell because you don't know what you're talking about. All right. Take it away, Hitman.
Well, I mean, when we talk about, especially what happened on Friday night, I mean, the big thing on Friday night was the return of CM Punk, right?
Yes. Yes.
You know, I'm I was texting with you guys, on Friday because I saw the video of it. Look, CM Punk being back being in AEW, being back in professional wrestling, sports entertainment, whatever you want to call it, is good. It's good. It gives AEW a name, a mainstream name,
Yes.
that can somewhat counteract a lot of what the WWE does. What it also does, it allows AEW to win back a lot of those forgotten fans that the WWE just say, hey, I don't care anymore about.
Yeah.
Which is why you saw, so many images where, you had grown ass men crying.
That was great.
And which is awesome. I mean, look, we see the meme. It's still real to me. Yeah, I mean that's the emotional investment. That's awesome.
Yes.
Where I will kind of diverge from it is I expected nothing less. The reaction he got was not a shock. I mean, the shocker would have been if nobody got up off their feet when his music hit.
Yeah, true.
But it gives them a name. It gives them something to tie themselves to the mainstream media or the mainstream audience, so to speak. But also, it gives, and I'm going to use a term, and people might get mad. It gives the pro wrestling fan, their cult leader back. The guy who is the quote unquote voice of the voiceless.
Okay.
The best way, honestly, and I can't believe I'm going to do this, I compare CM Punk's kind of return or being the voice of the voiceless, and I'm going to be careful when I do this, to when Donald Trump ran for president.
Oh, stop it.
And I'm going to tell you why. We always talk about how the WWE has forgotten about a certain fan group.
Yes.
The 18 to 49. CM Punk gives them that.
I know what you're saying. I know where you're going.
No, I mean, don't get, I mean, I'm not necessarily comparing him to Trump in terms of how he talks, whatever. But
Oh no, no, I know what you mean.
if you want to go with the whole thing of the voice of the voiceless and going with the forgotten person or a forgotten segment of the population of the wrestling fan, that's what CM Punk brings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's in essence what he brings. I mean, it's not a bad thing in this regard. Um, I think CM Punk owes WWE a little bit of gratitude because he wouldn't have culture personality if he wasn't for them. But you know, when you talk about his return and what it means for the landscape of professional wrestling, it's nothing but good. But if you were to ask me if I'm shocked by that response, no, considering where he's from and where the venue took place at. Like I said, the thing that would have been shocking if 20,000 people just stood just stood on their asses and didn't cheer for him. So I mean,
A little bit.
yeah, I mean it's the only thing that I would question. I know you brought this up about the loudest pop, of all time. I actually forget the term that you used. I can think of maybe three that are possibly bigger if you don't include any Austin, pops at all.
Yeah.
You can always go with Triple H's return in Madison Square Garden. You can always go with Edge came back to the Royal Rumble. That's the most recent one before COVID hit.
Yep.
And then honestly, if I had to choose between Punk's return and this one, when The Rock turned in 2011.
Okay.
And for me, the reason why I picked that one over Punk is because technically Punk's been advertised.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we haven't, it hasn't been stale, Punk's returning on this day, we pretty much knew Punk was returning. Yeah. We had no idea Rock was coming back in 2011.
No. Can you imagine the pop if Punk wasn't advertised?
Oh, absolutely.
Can you imagine?
But, with everything going on and social media, and it just made perfect sense for him to come back in Chicago. Yeah, it is what it is.
Scott, I was texting Scott about that topic, and social media ruins surprises, man, when it comes to wrestling. Pretty much when it comes to anything, but because we're on the topic of wrestling, God, if they wouldn't have advertised CM Punk coming back and those fans were sitting on their asses and that music hit, it would have been the biggest and loudest pop of all time. If he wasn't advertised.
It could have been.
If he wasn't advertised.
Yeah, I mean, was it a massive pop? Sure, absolutely. It's one of the best in the industry. It's what that company and that section of the fandom needs.
I read before Rampage aired that they were doing other matches like 2.5, 3 hours prior, and the entire time that crowd was just at the top of their lungs. CM Punk. They said that crowd was like that the entire night.
Yeah, I mean, he's a name. He's a cult leader.
Yes.
He's a cult personality.
Yep.
And now you have that in an upcoming brand. Now let's see how AEW capitalizes
on it. They're going to capitalize on it. Their website got shut down because people just flooded their shop to buy all the
Oh yeah, between that and the ice cream bar, which I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I went on to get a shirt and I couldn't get on the site. It was broken. Someone had to go back and fix the site.
I also, and this is to be honest, I'm just going to be honest here. When he came back, I heard that people were playing his theme music out the parking lot when they were going home.
Yep.
And there was a couple of times during this weekend where his theme music popped in my head and I was whistling.
Yes.
So, I mean, but that's the beauty of it. That's the emotion of
As fans of pro wrestling, his return is so important for us.
it. Yes.
It really is. Just I don't want to say the lack of talent, but the lack of originality, I guess. Yeah, my dog agrees. And my dog watches wrestling with me, by the way. Every time it's on the TV, I'm always putting pictures on Facebook. He sits there and he barks at Jericho. Where was I? As a pro wrestling fan, the importance for CM Punk for me, it's a lot. It means a lot. It makes me smile. It made me feel happy. I was sitting on my couch, man, with goosebumps. My wife's been watching wrestling with me too, man. She sat there and she watched it, and she even felt it. No clue who CM Punk is. Up until that point, I told her she had no clue who CM Punk was.
Yeah.
And
Once again, it's the mainstream name. It gives a face to an upcoming company.
yes,
That's what CM Punk brings. The guy's been away for 7 years.
yeah,
You know, and have him come back and plus, I mean, let's be honest. You know, now you might have people that's going to be tuning into his movie, to his TV show now. 'Cause
TV
he's a
show.
heel. He's a
Oh, is
heel.
he? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have Star.
So you know you're going to have a maybe some newer fans, tuning into that, or you might have some people who just want to watch the show just because see his CM Punk, be like, oh man, yeah, I recognize that guy. Now, so
Big
I'm gonna
Ball
start
and-
watching. Yeah, I'm just gonna start watching, AEW now. So guess what? It all ties in. It all ties in.
I intend on whenever I can. I intend on dropping that. What it comes out to like $36 for a T-shirt on AEW store.
Mhm.
I have every intent and purpose of dropping every single penny for that T-shirt.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like wearing all white T-shirts. I used to have the yellow GTS with what was it? With like a lightning bolt.
Yeah, it was his. I think it was his wrap wrist or arm on it with his lightning bolt. I think.
Okay, yeah, but of course I grew out of it. I put on some extra muscle protector onto my body, so so I outgrew my GTS shirt.
Right.
But no, that's just what it. That's how much it means to me, man. You know, as a fan of pro wrestling, I have no problem. If the shirt was $50, I'd buy it, man, because I like CM Punk. I really enjoy the fact it doesn't look like he's changed his gimmick at all.
No.
He has the music. He still has the look. He's a little gray now.
But that's just because he's older.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Let's see how he moves in the ring.
well, and that's the thing. I mean, it's one of those where, and that's part of the reason why. I mean, he said it in his promo that he wanted to, for lack of a better term, it wasn't the business of pro wrestling that he hated.
Yeah.
He hated what it had become, which goes to the point of, you have a segment of the fan that loves pro wrestling but dislikes sports entertainment.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm listening to you. I know I'm looking down, but I'm trying to pull something up right now for a discussion later on in this video. But I am listening to you.
No worries. No, I mean, it's like I say, his gimmick, his gimmick is his gimmick.
Yep.
I mean, he's straight edge person, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke. It is what it is. He is who he is, and that's one of the things that drew him, drew a lot of the fans to him in the WWE or Ring of Honor or even some of the promotions. That he is who he is, and people like that. I go back to my original point. He's a cult leader in the pro wrestling community.
Yep. I will say this about it. the thing I don't want to say I didn't like it, but I think he could have, you said it when we first started this video, show a little bit more of appreciation. He was shitting and trash talking a lot on Vince and WWE.
Well, that's all.
But I'm sure he was cashing those paychecks. You know,
Absolutely.
if it was that bad, that's the first thing that popped into my mind when he said the place that stomped out his passion or whatever it is that he said. I immediately said, but they didn't stamp out your ability to cash those paychecks. That was my only negative thing about the CM Punk return. Now, I really hope he doesn't do that every single time he's in front of the camera. I hope that was one and done. He got it out. It's over with. Let it go.
No, I'm pretty sure that once he starts getting into feuds with other AEW talent, that won't necessarily come out. Other AEW talents might try to go there with him, but we know Punk is pretty good on the mic.
Yeah.
So I mean, that necessarily won't be an issue. But but that goes on a lot at that company where they take shots at Vince and the WWE.
And his first opponent he's getting, Darby Allin. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I know you know who Darby Allin is, but people who watch our little podcast thing here we have, if you don't watch AEW, I'm sure Hitman will encourage you as well as I will. Watch AEW or the hell with it. Just go on YouTube and look up Darby Allin.
Yeah.
And just look at what this kid can do.
Yeah.
He would have fit in so nicely with ECW back in the day. One of the best finishing moves, in my opinion, for me, the coffin drop. I love that shit. I don't care if he's doing it from 3 feet off the ground or if he climbs the scaffolding and he does it from 30 feet up in the air.
Right.
The coffin drop never gets old for me. Never. And for him to face up against CM Punk, if Darby Allin was around for a little bit longer, you could almost call it a dream match. But I don't think you could call it that because Darby hasn't been around that long in the pro circuit. I'm sure he's been all over the place in underground stuff that we've never heard of or never seen. But if the CM Punk thing was maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, you could call this a dream match for me. My money.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could have a Punk versus MJF feud at some point. Yep. You can have a Punk. You can go back to Punk and Jericho if you want to.
Yep.
You know,
which will probably happen because he said there's some unfinished business with some of the wrestlers backstage. I'm guessing he's talking about Jericho, maybe Christian.
Yeah, you know, Punk and Christian. You know, maybe you can throw out a Punk and Omega if you want to. Go that route. Yep. You know, I mean, there's guys there. There's guys. You know, my only drawback, and you and I have talked about this, is, you know, AEW has 3 hours of wrestling per week.
Yep. Just on TV.
That's just on TV. I mean, they have stuff on YouTube and stuff like that, but their bread and butter is based off of what's going on TV. And you don't want to overexpose Punk.
No.
That's number one. And then number two, you don't want to have him take away from the other talent. And especially if they're supposed to be bringing in other big name talents or small name talents, you don't want to do that.
Adam Cole.
Yeah, could be the case.
Yeah, I agree with you about that. I don't want CM Punk to go in there and just clean house and take everyone's belts away and just go undefeated. I want him to get his ass kicked here and there. I want him to get a belt and then lose it. I don't want him just to walk in and just dominate everything.
No. You know, maybe, you know, I'm curious to know the first time he'll get physical. in the ring. Maybe the first time he'll get physical, maybe it will be when he, at All Out.
Yep.
Maybe that's the first time. But I want to see a gradual build for him to get, the world title, at some point. Maybe by the end of the year, you can build for like maybe get the title and then you can build towards, Daniel Bryan at Punk for the AEW World Title at one of their bigger shows sometime next
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I can't see Punk getting physical before their pay-per-view. I think them waiting for All Out, that'll get more people to purchase that pay-per-view. Not that they weren't going to have a ton of sales anyways, but if you don't have them get physical or get into any matches before then, that many more people are going to want it, are going to want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, you can have him come out and do his promos and
Yep.
backstage segments. That's fine. And then eventually, maybe you come in, maybe he comes in and drop a GTS on somebody. Maybe the week before All Out is basically next week, but maybe after that or something like that, where he starts to get a little bit more physical.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, the first time he drops that GTS, if he does it, I'm gonna jump my big ass out of my chair and start jumping up and down. I loved when he did that GTS.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But CM Punk coming back, it's very important to me. I don't want to say it's personal, but it means a lot as a pro wrestling fan,
Well, I mean, look at it this way: it's you're a pro wrestling fan, and he's a local guy.
Yeah.
He's a local guy who started out underground and made it to, the big time, and he's still successful. He's got movies. Granted, he wasn't as successful in UFC, but you know what? That's okay. Not very many are. But at least he tried. But he's a mainstream name, and ESPN picked up on it. Bleacher Report picked up on it. It's definitely something that AEW could build off of, and ultimately, maybe knock off the WWE at some point.
That goes to show you how important he is in the world of wrestling. When ESPN is talking about AEW wrestling, not WWE, AEW wrestling, that is huge, man.
He's a name. Yeah,
I saw that, and I was like, wow, they just opened up a door for Khan.
Yeah. I mean, look, CM Punk is very popular.
Yes.
I mean, and part of the reason why he's popular is because of his MMA stuff. That's part of it. I mean, people know him based off of that. I mean, but also he made his bones in the WWE.
Yep. And the WWE, the fans of only WWE who are still talking crap about AEW and about Punk, they're full of shit. They're full of it. They don't want to swallow their pride. CM Punk is a big name, and people should just appreciate the fact that he's back.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you. You can look. I'm going to look at it from both sides. I look at it as it's great for professional wrestling.
Yep.
Working the same way, whatever you want to call it. It's great that he's back, but I want to see how AEW, cashes in on this, because let's be honest. I mean, that I think Scott told you, and I agree with you that they have like a 6 month deal with him. That you know, let's see how this goes.
Yep. Okay. Well, that was Friday night. That was Friday Night Rampage.
Yep.
Now let's talk SummerSlam on Saturday, which first of all, I love the fact of these WWE pay-per-views being on Saturday nights.
That's actually not bad.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sitting looking at my watch saying, oh my God, I have to go to bed. I have to wake up for work. I was able to have a few drinks. I was able to eat as much as I wanted. I could stay up as late as I wanted.
Right.
It was great. I loved it. Now, before we get into it, I want to ask you a question, and I want to see if you can answer it because I can't answer it for myself.
Okay.
This year's SummerSlam is the best WWE event, all around event, since when? Because it had really, really good matches. It had a couple real shitty matches. And it had a mediocre match. It was just an all-around great pay-per-view, I guess you would call it.
Look, I mean, you can go.
When is the last time we got something like that?
I mean, are we referring to pre-pandemic or post-pandemic? Because I thought WrestleMania was actually pretty good.
Okay, let's go pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic? I mean, you might have to go to, I don't know. I mean, it's been a while. It's been a while since it's been a while.
It was really, really, really good.
You know,
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what's funny? I watched some highlights and then I took some notes and then I'm like, you know what? I don't, let me just get in a better frame of mind and just watch it. And I'm in agreement with you. It was very good, very good. And there's a few matches and some individuals that I want to get into,
Okay.
just get your thoughts on. First and foremost,
here we go.
both both tag team matches I thoroughly enjoyed. I know you're not a huge fan of Omos, and I understand your reasonings why, but man, Orton and Riddle, they got something.
Yeah. Well, I'm a fan of them. I'm a fan of Orton and Riddle. I really enjoy the whole RK Bro thing.
No, I'm just saying, like, I know you're not a fan of like Omos.
No.
But I'm just saying, like, with Orton and Riddle, man, they got something. And I was just thinking about this today. I'm like I know the whole thing is eventually you get Orton versus Riddle. I think Riddle's too stupid to even do anything like that. You know, because he got RKO 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden Riddle's like, he just did it to teach me a lesson.
Yep.
I mean, what does Orton got to do? I mean, he's got to beat him up like he used to do Triple H back in the day.
Yep.
You know, but it's one of the things that they have going for them. One of the few things they have going for them on Raw.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's that particular storyline because they both play it so well. You got Riddle, who is like the goofy guy. You got Orton, that's the like the serious guy, the serious veteran. He says something because he was on the jump, not the jump, but the bump.
Okay.
They basically said that, you know, championships are cool, but having friendships are better. And Orton kind of responded back on Twitter with like a rolling up eye emoji. Like, dude, come on, man. Championships are important. You know, so it's stuff like that. That's just the contrasting of the two individuals within that tag team.
Yeah, I at first you remember, I wasn't into the whole RK Bro thing. I thought it was getting real old and real stupid, but they kind of made like a little turn with it and made it.
You know what helped? You know what helped? Orton was on TV for a while.
Yep. And he came back with that weird mustache, like some dirty Italian guy.
Oh God.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Riddle was able to kind of make a name for himself on his own and still use the RK Bro gimmick. And then Orton came back and just elevated it that much more.
Yep.
And now I love it. I'm actually thinking about getting a shirt if I could get past the silly little snake on it. But moving to the other side of that match, I wish Omos would go away. I really do. I can't stand him. He's just bad. He's stupid.
He's 7'3" and he's awkward. I want him to get him a little bit more seasoning. I don't mind him playing the bodyguard role with eventually branching off into being a singles competitor, kind of like what Diesel did with Shawn Michaels eventually.
Yeah.
I personally don't think and that which is why he's in tag matches or his one-on-one matches are really short.
Okay.
You know, I want to see a little bit more, and you know, he doesn't need to like do 450, you know, whatever, but just give me a little bit more, you know, outside of, you know, this is my house, you know, this is my, I need a little bit more than that.
You know why I don't like him? He does something, and I kind of rank it up there with the Dean Ambrose thing where he used to fall between the rope and then bounce back up. I know I would say it to you guys all the time. I can't stand it. It like irks me.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you hit Omos, high or low, he kind of wobbles his head and he stares at his hand.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that.
You could kick the guy in the leg, and he'll stare at his hand and wobble his head.
Well, and that comes with you know a little bit more seasoning. I mean, he's basically, I mean, he's only been doing this for a little over a year, and he's only been wrestling in front of live crowds. What, since they've been back since when? June?
Yeah, Money in
May,
the
June.
Bank. Yeah.
May, June, something like that.
Yeah.
You know, actually, I mean, WrestleMania was a live crowd and back in April, so I guess it's April. But I mean, he's a youngster. You know, you take a 7'3" guy, you want to make him a monster, but the problem that they had was they couldn't really do much with him at the performance center, which he needs to work on just a little bit. And like I said, I'm not a wrestling coach or anything like that, but I know what I want to see from him.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more. That's all. Dude, I love the Usos.
Oh yeah. I love anyone who because they went up against the Mysterios, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love anyone who kicks the shit out of Dominic Mysterio.
Oh, I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do.
But especially the Usos.
Dude, the Usos, you know, when you hear that music and you see them walk to the ring, it's a cool factor. It's a swagger. They're huh?
Super kicks.
Super kicks. Well, they actually did a double super kick on Mysterio.
Yeah.
Where they kicked on both sides of the head, which I thought was awesome.
Oh yeah.
And then, you know, there was a super kick from, I think it was Jay, to Ray. I will say this: if you would have asked me maybe 3 years ago who was the best Uso, I would have said Jimmy. Jay's better now. He stepped up his game so much, especially during the pandemic and him having his feud with Roman, he's you notice him more than Jimmy right
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
now. And yeah, I mean he's come a long way, you know, in terms of his development and not being known as the other Uso.
And the other Uso.
Yeah.
I'm just really happy because it started looking like a night of changing of the titles.
Mhm.
It kind of started looking that way, and I was like, oh God, please don't do it. I was so happy when they didn't give the Mysterios back the title.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
if it was a one-on-one match and Ray won a title back, I'm okay with that. I mean, I like Rey Mysterio. He's great. Dude's a legend.
Right.
But as long as Dominic Mysterio comes out of that backstage,
Mm-hmm.
I'm booing them 100%. I have no interest in the Mysterios at all. As long as the sun is out there, I have no interest. None.
Well,
None.
well, Dominic's gonna be around for a while, so.
Oh, I know.
So you can keep booing him.
Oh yeah.
I do want to get to probably the most controversial ending or match of the night, which was Becky versus, I'm sorry, supposed to be Sasha versus Bianca, but then it was Carmella versus Bianca that it turned out to be.
Yeah, you know, I didn't say anything to you about it, but not the Friday before SummerSlam, not the SmackDown before SummerSlam, but 2 SmackDowns before SummerSlam.
Mhm.
That's Saturday. Yeah, that's Saturday morning. I saw something on Twitter saying something that Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair might not be able to make SummerSlam. I couldn't find anything on it, so I didn't take it serious. I didn't think it was a real account, you know.
Right.
What the hell happened to Sasha? Because I couldn't
I
find
don't
it.
know. I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen anything. If it's a medical issue, I haven't seen anything. If it's contract related, of course, now, you know, if anybody misses any time, everybody assumes that it's COVID.
Yeah.
You know, and I, like I said, I don't know, and you know, people who watch this don't take my word. Say, oh, black man said Sasha Banks had COVID. No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't know, but I mean, there's always that possibility, but we don't know. I mean, she could be injured for all we know. I don't know.
Yeah, because
But
I actually missed the SmackDown before SummerSlam. It's like I totally forgot about SmackDown, and
because of yeah.
I was like halfway through SummerSlam. I was like, holy shit, I didn't watch SmackDown from last night. But then
Right.
I figured I'm not missing anything.
Right. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. When I first kind of read like what happened, I was like, that's why I think I sent you the text. It was kind of like WTF, you know, Bianca.
Yeah.
But as I went back and I watched it, dude, I absolutely loved it.
Yep.
I loved it.
Yep.
And my issue, actually not even an issue. My thing with this particular match was number one, it it tells a great story about Bianca, and it tells a great story about how she, because when Becky's music hit, you saw the giddiness in her face.
Yeah.
Like she became, instead of being a performer, she became a fangirl.
Yep.
And this came out. Then Becky came to the ring, and then you know Becky started beating up Carmella, and then Becky was kind of like, "Hey, you know, what about you and me?" And Bianca was like, "Yeah." And then next, you know, Becky tries to give her a handshake and hits, you know,
Chokeslam.
it's yeah. And the thing that I liked about it is the fact that I know that there's people, like I had a buddy of mine who texted me today that he didn't like the fact that it was a squash match. For one, it's the story that's being told. We as wrestling fans have been conditioned over the past 20 years with false finishes and long matches.
Yep.
We have been. And that we tend to forget that if a competitor slips up, it only takes 3 seconds to win a match.
Yep.
Bianca slipped up. Bianca got caught and lost. That's your story right there. The EFT, who was supposed to be the smartest, the bestest, the toughest, the strongest, got outsmarted by a veteran. Veteran outsmarted a promising rookie. Guess what? How many times in sports have we seen that? Tons. Tons of times. There's your story.
Oh, you think you're hot shit? Let me show you what's up.
Exactly. Now, and you saw how Bianca looked after the match. Like she was like, okay, all right, you got me. There's your story.
Yep.
Now, will they go forward with that? You would hope so.
I hope so. Me personally, I'm happy that Bianca lost the belt. I think I was over her probably shortly after she won at WrestleMania. Just due to the fact every time she wins, she cries. I think I said that to you before. I get it. You know, it's your dream come true. Tons of nerves, the adrenaline, but there comes to a point where, okay, you need to stop that shit now. You're supposed to be this big badass. Even though you're a face, you need to start acting like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, no matter when Becky Lynch came out, did you expect a different result?
No. I mean,
not you. I'm saying in general. I'm saying.
No, I mean, look, if Becky would have came out, on SmackDown and challenged her at the next pay-per-view, I expected Becky to win the title at the next pay-per-view.
Yep.
It just makes sense. I think Bianca Belair, the character, needs a little bit more refining in terms of having an edge.
Yep.
Because I don't mind the happy-go-lucky. Comes out of the ring, swing your little your ponytail, that's fine.
Yeah.
But when you get in between those ropes, you gotta have an edge.
Yeah.
And the only one that kind of brought it out of her, honestly, was Bayley.
Yeah. And Bayley's gone for a while.
Right, in those series of matches. Yeah. And then the other thing that I truly liked about what they did was the fact that now they show Bianca as being a little bit naive, and it's not the first time that they did that. They did it with her and Sasha.
Okay.
Now they did it with her and Becky.
Do you get the sense of a heel turn?
For who?
Bianca.
No.
Not yet.
No.
Not yet, huh?
No, No, you can't turn Bianca Belair heel.
I don't know why. I don't know why. I just nothing was shown, or she didn't do anything. But I don't. For me, I just kind of feel like it's going to happen.
You like heels in general.
Not like in the next month or so, but I think in the near future. That's just
I would prefer her not to be a full-fledged heel. I would like for her to have some more edge to her character.
Like a Rhea Ripley?
Yeah. Where
what she is.
Yeah. I mean I would prefer that. Or a Raquel Gonzalez where, she just purely dominates you because she's bigger, faster, stronger than you.
Okay.
If there's going to be somebody who's going to turn heel, it's going to be Becky Lynch.
Okay. I guess we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't know why. It's just when that whole scenario happened on SummerSlam, it just kind of popped in my head, I guess.
No, that's fine. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed it. That didn't bother me at all. And like I said, I mean, we've been conditioned with false finishes and long matches. You know, if you're in a fight or if you're in a regular wrestling match or whatever back in the day, if you get caught napping and someone hits your finisher, guess what? More than likely you're going to lose. And that's what happened here. He got caught napping.
And again, even though she was kind of advertised for a return, great pop.
Oh yeah.
She had a great pop.
Yeah.
She had a great pop.
I mean, you heard a couple of people say we want Becky, but
oh yeah, they've been saying it for weeks.
Oh yeah, they've been saying it on Raw, so it is what it is.
All right, let's just skip over the whole Alexa Bliss match. The only good thing I have to say, she looks great in a two-piece. That was the only good thing about that match. Okay, we're done with that.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you think of the Damian Priest Sheamus match?
I thought that was a very underrated match.
Yes. Sheamus is an idiot. Of all the layoffs you're doing, you let that moron stay around. Damian Priest hurt his back, dude. Trust me. I know the look on the face of when someone hurts their back. He hurt a disc in his back because when he did it, what did he do? Dive over the rope or through the rope? I think over the rope. Over the rope. And Sheamus didn't catch him. He just let him hit the ground. Yeah, he hurt his back.
Yeah, I mean, I personally like Sheamus. I think Sheamus is, pretty good. I mean, most people, he's just stiff in the ring. I mean, in terms of not stiff in terms of robotic, but he'll give you his stuff. I mean, there's no thinking about Sheamus at all.
I've never been a fan of his.
So I mean, I've liked him since the day where he was feuding with Triple H or feuding with Cena and Reigns, and they would call him a big jar of mayonnaise. But I truly thought that was a very underrated match, and Damian Priest is a guy that's improved every single week, and it shows. And the WWE rewarded him with this title because of the crap he did, what they put him through with actually the Bad Bunny stuff I didn't mind, but
the zombies,
the zombie stuff.
No, in all seriousness, I'm really happy they're starting to give him a push. When he came out on Monday Night Raw against Lashley, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, look, you put it out there. You see how fans going to react, and he seems to get a decent response. I mean, he's probably one of the very few NXT guys that could possibly be successful on the main roster.
And me cheering for Damian Priest, this is coming from a guy who cheers for the heels. I cheer for the bad guys all the time, and for me
how can you not enjoy a guy who can, who's in the hot tub with women after he wins the title?
Oh, yeah.
How can you not?
But no, I agree. Very underrated match.
Actually, up until that point, that was my match of the night. Up until other matches.
Well, since we're talking about that, let's talk about my match of the night, which was Edge and Rollins.
That's my match of the night.
Edge and Rollins. And up until a certain point, which we'll get to that later, Edge, the way he entered his old Brood entrance, that was my moment of the night. That was my moment of the weekend. Up until a certain point. Up until a certain something happened in SummerSlam.
Yeah.
I forgot all about the Brood, man. I forgot all about him. And then when he came out, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
It started on SmackDown
Yeah,
where
I
where
saw the
he
clips.
yeah, where he talked about he's going to go into like this dark side, and then the black stuff came down from the ceiling. And he said he needed to go to that dark place, and he did. Now that was my match of the night. I mean, 23 minutes of just pure delight of a great story being told by both guys.
That was my match of the night, match of the weekend, match of
Yeah,
the week.
yeah, that was great. I mean, look, Seth Rollins is very good,
He is.
but I'm starting to appreciate this version of Edge now as opposed to when back in his I don't know prime or whatever, because
Okay.
he's a lot smarter and he's like I would love for Edge to go to Raw and feud with Lashley.
I kind of like him where he's at.
Well, I mean I do too, but Raw kind of needs names,
Yeah.
so and Edge is definitely he's showing why he's an 11-time world champion. Yeah, but I agree with you. That's my match. That's my match of the night.
And I texted Jimmy. I think maybe even Scott too. Something happened in that match, which I knew it was impossible for it to happen. Remember, they were outside of the ring and Edge threw Rollins into the side of the ring, and how they have the electronic signs now. You know how it flickered and then it went out?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, the Fiend's coming out. They re-signed Bray Wyatt because that's the shit that happens. That's what happens, shit like that, whenever he would come out. And when that happened, I like jumped to the edge of my chair. I was like, holy shit, it's the Fiend.
Yeah.
But then I was like, damn it, they just broke it. That's all. And I was upset again. And but no, damn, it was a great match. I enjoyed it. I've probably watched that particular match now probably 6 or 7 times. I've watched the whole Summerslam event, I think 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
But that match, like I said, 6 or 7 times. It was just a really good technical match. Great chemistry together.
They told a great story in the ring, just dealing with Edge's neck.
Yep. How he just kept working on it. It was just really good, man. The sling blade. I love that. And then he gave him the superplex off the top rope, and he rolled him into the Falcon Arrow. Oh my God!
Yeah.
If we ever come back to do our wrestling, what the hell is it called? I have AEW stuck in my head.
EWA.
Yeah, EWA. Me and Scott are doing that. We're gonna
have fun with that.
Yeah.
I'll stick to my low stuff on the ground. I'll do my ground and pound. I did enjoy when Edge had Rollins in the crossface and he tried to get him. Rollins tried to get out and he just started banging his face onto the mat.
Yeah.
And then he get him to submit. That match, I was going to text you earlier to say that's my candidate for match of the year.
I didn't want to bother you too much.
It's all good.
Because, like we said, life happens.
Yeah.
I just waited till we did this. So, but I'm glad that we both agree that was the match of the night.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good.
Yeah, it was good.
Sadly, I hate to say it, I had low expectations for that match. I did not think Edge was going to keep up. I did not think it. I'm very glad that he proved me wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, I'm enjoying this version of Edge.
Yeah.
More so than he was back in the early 2010s when he was a rated R superstar.
And then another thing, I think I added you in the text too. I was watching that match probably the 3rd or 4th time. When he came out as to the Brood entrance, you can hear people cheering, but it was just like a real low, mediocre, like, it's like, come on, people. Like, this is flipping awesome. And then you think you know me name, and
then people cheered.
Yeah, it's like,
That's because the more modern wrestling fan
yeah,
knows that more so than, you know, oh, get ready, the brood interest with the fire and stuff like that, and then coming from the ground.
yeah.
We know that stuff because we watched it, but this this stuff, I mean, some of the more, I don't know,
Modern
I
day.
don't know, yeah, modern day wrestling fan don't really,
I
they
I I
don't
said that to I told myself that me as a longtime wrestling fan, if I forgot about it, how the hell do I expect a modern day fan to even fathom what the Brood was, without going on YouTube?
right. And one of the things I'll give Pat McAfee credit was he mentioned that. And by the way, Pat McAfee is doing one hell of a job.
You know what?
I,
I was not. I'm kind of
I'm
pissed that you
enjoying
brought
that.
this up. I was gonna save this for the end of the video. You know who the real winner of this whole wrestling weekend was? Pat McAfee. Pat
Oh,
McAfee.
yeah.
He wins the entire weekend for this wrestling. That dude is awesome.
Yeah.
Scott texted me. He's saying, "Who's this guy who keeps screaming during the matches?" I go, "That's Pat McAfee." He goes, "The football guy?" I go, "Yes, he's awesome." Who? Michael Cole? Didn't he say that McAfee revitalized his love and passion for wrestling, and he was getting ready to walk away, but now like Pat McAfee, like dances on the table and he'll like walk all over Michael Cole, and Cole's like, "What are you doing?" It's just,
No, that's part of the reason why SmackDown is
yes,
fun to watch. It's because of Pat McAfee.
yeah, he wins the weekend, man. I
Yeah.
wanted to save that to the end of this video too, but
All right. My bad.
no, that's fine. Okay, moving on. What's the next match? I know we're missing something
We got
besides the main event.
The Raw women's match. Raw
Okay,
women's title.
Charlotte wins. Yeah,
I'm okay with the outcome.
yeah,
I thought it was a decent match.
nothing special.
It just goes to show you that on Raw, there's really no one else outside of Charlotte.
Yeah,
I mean, I love Rhea Ripley, but she's not there yet. Um, and there's just really nobody on that roster that can match up to her, unless they rebrand. I'm talking about truly rebrand Shayna Baszler.
yeah. Shayna Baszler. She's kind of gotten lost in the mix. As far as Rhea Ripley, I don't want to say they're done with her. I just don't know. I just don't think they know what to do with her. Part of the reason is we've talked about it in past videos. Is she heel or is she face? What is she? How do we trust her?
She's a face. She's a face.
Okay.
I mean, if you hear the response when her music hits, she's a face. If you see how she reacts with the crowd, she's a face.
But when she was being called a heel, people reacted like that.
Yeah, but
you said that yourself. That's what's confusing us as wrestling fans. She's a heel, but we're cheering for her. We're only supposed to cheer for the face. So what are you doing with her? Again, I don't think they're done with her. They just don't know what to do with her.
I agree with you. I definitely agree with that. Look, she has talent. There's things that are there. I don't know. Like I get why she has the look she has, but if you look at her outside of like what she wears, she doesn't wear dark makeup outside.
No.
And at WrestleMania 35, she didn't have on dark makeup.
I didn't notice that. I'll have to go back and look.
Yeah, if you look at the match she had with Charlotte at WrestleMania 35, which one was during the pandemic? 35, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, her match with Charlotte during 35.
Yeah.
Then, or even some of her previous takeover matches, he's not wearing that much dark makeup. And I don't know if it's because of who's making her song, doing our interest music if they're trying to play to that particular population of being goth.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but it just goes to one of those things where, you know, you go from being one person in NXT to come to the main roster and they got some other plans to, in which we'll talk about your boy at a different time.
Okay. You broke up a little bit there.
I said we'll talk about your boy at a different time between the difference between NXT and the main roster. I know you got thoughts about that.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
Cross.
Yep.
Yeah, let's save it for another. This is a positive video tonight. This is positive tonight. No, very, very little negative. When we start talking about what the hell they did to Karrion Kross, I'm going to lose my shit.
Yeah.
But anyways, okay, main event.
Do you want to talk about? Hey, let's talk about because I want to tie the WWE title match into the Universal title match because I personally I linked those two because of what should have happened.
You see, I forgot about that match. I forgot about two matches actually. The Drew McIntyre match, which to me is one of the most irrelevant matches ever.
Well, that match should have been on the pre-show.
It was terrible. Okay, let's move on. Goldberg and Lashley.
I didn't mind that match too much. I didn't mind it for like the first 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of like, oh, okay, good. Goldberg is going to show a little something. And then I don't like the fact that they ended it the way that they did.
No,
I thought here's me fantasy booking. Here's me thinking outside of the box in terms of this is why I'm kind of linking the two together, the two title matches together. Yes, I would have had Bobby Lashley won, but as soon as Bobby Lashley won, and instead of Brock Lesnar's music hitting at the end of the show, it would have hit at the end of that match. But I understand the reasons why they did it.
Yeah.
But I would have had that because, dude, at some point we got to get a Lesnar Lashley match. At some point.
Yeah, we do. It's never happened before, has it?
No.
Okay. I agree. I can agree with that. But I don't know. That match was kind of it was okay.
I didn't like the ending.
No.
I thought the physicality was fine up until that point, and I'm like, why?
Okay.
And then at some point, Goldberg will get a rematch and probably win the title.
Yeah.
That's my main event time.
Yes. All right, you go. You start.
This is my second favorite match of the night.
Okay.
We forget how, I guess, important John Cena is.
Yep.
In terms of his big match feel.
Yeah.
And the hype that he brings to it, because he was hyping the match up. I mean, you had the subdued Reigns versus the hyped up Cena, which was great. Dude, Roman Reigns is on another level, man.
Yes. Even Scott liked it. Scott watched that match, and he said he's not a fan of either of them, but he can appreciate the fact that they were actually wrestling.
Yeah.
Not just shoulder bumping each other.
Right. I mean, you had Roman Reigns basically at one point telling John Cena, is that all you got is just your 5 moves?
Yep.
That was awesome. And then at one point during the match, he's outside. He gets the belt from Heyman, goes and steps on the step, raises it up. I'm like, what? What cocky bastard does that during the middle of a match? Unless you're a cocky bastard.
Yep.
And just the stuff that he was doing in the ring, the talking and the selling he was doing, the story he was telling in the ring, the methodical nature that he is right now. he may not be best in the business today, but he's up there. He's doing good work.
He is.
He's doing great work.
He is.
And and the ending, I like the ending. I enjoy. Look, anytime I can get a super attitude adjustment off the top rope, that's my thing, because it just shows how strong Cena is.
Yeah.
And obviously Reigns kicked out and stuff like that. I mean, there was some good counters. I mean, Reigns put him in a guillotine, and there was a STF, and the story went back to all Cena needs was 3 seconds.
I love that. Every time you get a near fall, he'd go 1, 2, or 1, or he'd start chuckling or laughing. It was, man, it was really good. Even leading up to SummerSlam, their in-ring promos, they were really good. It was enjoyable.
I enjoyed them, but I thought Reigns left a lot out there that he could have said. And there was one point where Cena was like, you've been protected for so long.
Yep.
If I'm Reigns, I'm going back. Dude, you're the king of being protected.
Yep.
If you want to know why you never turn heel?
Yes.
Come on now. It's because the machine was too busy worried about you pissing off little Jimmy, as well as losing money. So yeah, I may be protected, but you're the king of being protected. That was like when I told you that I enjoyed it, but there could have been so much there that could have been said.
Yeah.
And how he didn't want to put over stars and stuff like that, and how he ran people off. Well, Cena ran people off too.
Oh, well, you can't say that to Cena. You can't say that to Cena.
Oh, he could have. He could have.
Look, I like how it was, man.
Well, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I do too, but I think if Cena would have if Reigns would have came back and said, hey, you're right. I have been protected. I have main evented WrestleMania. But you're the king of being a protected.
Yeah.
John Cena the brand. Come on now. I would have threw in Little Jimmy. Because where did Little Jimmy come from? His feud with R-Truth. I think so, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would have threw that out, because nobody wanted to turn Cena heel because all the stuff he was doing with Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
Or the money he would have lost because they didn't want to have little Jimmy or little Bobby not tell mommy and daddy to buy his shirt because he's now a
bad guy, bad influence.
Yeah, he's a bad guy, and heaven forbid, we can't have the poster child of our PG generation do stupid stuff.
So, all right. I want to fast forward to the end of the match. Reigns won. Great match.
Yep.
We did a video. I think it was when they brought Cena back, or I think it was the releasing of Bray Wyatt video that we did.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I told you they have to bring one of two guys back. The Rock or Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
Have to bring one of them back.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned SummerSlam, and you said SummerSlam would be too early to bring anyone back.
Well, they did this as a counter to Punk.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they did that.
Let's see. 10:38 p.m. I was texting with Scott that night because he was saying how cool Reigns' new music is. And I told him, they changed it a few months ago. God, I hope Brock comes out. Scott says that would be awesome. When that music hit, holy shit. I literally jumped out of my chair. I have never been so happy as a wrestling fan, as a pro wrestling fan,
yeah,
as I was when I heard Lesnar's music. And when I saw him come out, Punk had the biggest and the best pop. Becky Lynch and CM Punk and John Cena. It's good they came back. It was cool, but it was advertised. Brock Lesnar was the most important return for professional wrestling this weekend. Not the biggest, not the best, the most important, especially for WWE.
Okay, I can buy that argument for WWE's sake,
especially for WWE.
But I'm gonna go different.
He didn't have the top. That belongs to CM Punk. Punk wins that. Him and Lynch were advertised. Brock Lesnar was not advertised for months. I've been reading on Twitter. Remember, I said it to you a while ago. Lesnar's signing with AEW. Lesnar's signing here. Lesnar's not coming back. And I know nobody knew about him coming back until he walked into the building that day. I don't even think the commentators knew he was coming back.
Oh,
let me tell you why.
McAfee made that special.
Yes. Oh God, yes, he did. Let me tell you why. When Becky Lynch came out, I always like to go on the shop to see if any new shirts are out. Like Arcade Pro came out, new shirt. Charlotte Flair won, new shirt. Becky Lynch came out. 5 minutes later, new shirt. I think today at 2:30, Brock Lesnar shirts came out. Why? Because nobody knew. There was one person, Vince McMahon, who knew, and I'm guessing someone in creative. That's it. And Lesnar. That's it.
Well, I'm sure Reigns knew too. Reigns and Heyman probably knew.
Who did?
Reigns and Heyman. I'm sure they knew.
Okay, yeah. I mean, of course. But that's why Brock Lesnar was my favorite return and the most important return of this weekend. Because nobody knew about it. Nobody.
Right.
And they did it so good, man.
No, I agree with you. It was perfect because they didn't touch each other.
Oh God, I was telling Scott, please F5 Heyman. Please F5 Heyman.
Well, you saw Heyman kind of like get in the corner and
yes. And then he's awesome. Screaming, "Oh my God!" And then when Brock got into the ring and started walking towards Reigns, you just hear Heyman saying, "Brock, don't, please don't."
Yeah.
Oh my God! And then I was just texting Scott, please F5 Heyman. Please F5 Heyman.
Now I'll say this.
Okay.
And this is why I linked the two championship matches together. As much as I enjoy Brock being back, and I understand why, because there's that story.
Yes.
Who do you think would have been bigger than Brock that would have came out?
Who bigger as a return?
Cool.
You gotta say Stone Cold.
No.
Brock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just imagine if Brock's music hit after Reigns won. It's a highly anticipated match.
Oh yeah. Hey, don't worry, he's coming.
Oh, I agree with you, but I personally would have had. This is why I said I would have done Lesnar out with Lashley, and at the end, have Rock come out with Reigns. You don't even have to have them touch. Just have Rock come out, do a stare down with Reigns leaving, and they don't even have to see each other again until Survivor Series or whenever Rock is slated to come back.
Yeah,
I would have done. I would have done that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I popped for when Lesnar's music hit.
Oh God, yeah.
Just because it was cool, and I'm like, oh, nice. This is good, and this is good counter programming to Punk. I'm just saying, if you want like a bigger pop or something that's going to garner more of the mainstream media, like what Punk did, you probably would have had The Rock come out. But I'm happy either way.
We wouldn't have had the thrill and the shock if The Rock came back, because obviously The Rock would have been advertised. That would have spilled out all over social media.
Oh, there's been times when Rock has been scheduled for when Rock's supposed to come and they haven't leaked it.
Got him. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times when that has happened. I mean, I go back to 2011, and when nobody knew that Rock was supposed to be the guest ring announcer, and like nobody knew that Cena was supposed to be back when he showed up at Money in the Bank. So, I don't get me wrong. Like I said, I Lesnar being back is awesome, and I understand the story that is being told. You get through Cena, you get through Lesnar, you get The Rock.
Yeah.
And then if you beat all three, then you solidify Roman Reigns as being one of the best people in the industry.
I'm gonna go back to it. The Lesnar, when he came out, man. Oh God, I can't explain it. I lost my shit.
Yeah, it was good, dude. It was good.
And you're right. The fact that they didn't touch each other, that made it that much better.
Yeah.
Now my anticipation's brewing. Now I'm hungry for something. Now I want to see. I'm a Roman Reigns fan. I want to see Roman Reigns get his ass beat.
You're emotionally invested in that storyline.
I want to see him lose that belt. I think the head of the table is done. And I'm a fan of it. I hate saying it. I want to see Roman Reigns lose now. Again, I hate Roman Reigns.
I mean, the thing is that we've seen Reigns versus Lesnar many a time, but never like this.
We've never seen this Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar.
Exactly. And that's why it's fun. Yep. Now you got a face Brock Lesnar versus a heel Reigns, in which heel Reigns is fun.
Yeah.
Like, look, we haven't seen a face Brock Lesnar, I guess, since 2002 when he wrestled Angle at WrestleMania, when they were having those competitions because they were both elite athletes at the time, and so I mean, it's look, you said it earlier that it's a good time to be a professional wrestling fan. I mean, all shows this weekend, I know everything that I heard about NXT was great. AEW with their show on Friday was awesome. SmackDown was pretty good as a go-home show, and SummerSlam on Saturday was spectacular.
You said you haven't watched TakeOver yet, right?
No, not yet.
The Dragunov Walter match?
No, I heard that was probably the match of the second match of the night besides O'Reilly and Cole.
I don't want to get into it. You haven't watched it, so I don't want to get into O'Reilly and Cole.
Okay. But
it's just with those two, it's the same thing over and over. Street fight. Another street fight. Here comes the chain. He's gonna put a garbage can over Adam Cole and missile drop kick him. And I don't know if I like Kyle O'Reilly or not. I don't know if I like them, but their matches they've gotten real stale for me.
Okay.
But I don't want to get into that, but
I'll go back and I'll watch it. Just to see. But like I said, I mean, this weekend was great. It's funny to me, as we always bitch and moan and complain about WWE creative, particularly on Raw, how they can't put together weekly episodic episodes that are meaningful on Raw, like we do for SmackDown and NXT. But they can put together a good to halfway decent, a great paper.
They did really good. They did really good. And then Monday Night Raw happened.
Yeah, and that's why I just said that if they can't put together weekly television, that's great.
Yep.
But they can put together a pay-per-view. It's kind of like, they forget about Raw. It's like, oh yeah, we got pay-per-view coming up, and even some of the matches on Raw was pretty cool. Oh, I do have a one more thing that I gotta give a shout out to that I thought was pretty cool, even though the segment I did not enjoy. The fact that Xavier Woods dressed up as Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, I thought that was pretty cool.
It was cool, but the whole segment was totally unnecessary.
Oh, I agree. That's why I said I didn't necessarily like the segment, but I thought Xavier Woods, having I think it was the, like I think it was a New Day Order red, kind of like Wolfpack New World shirt, along with like he had his hair like Scott Hall with the curl, and he had how Scott Hall, Razor Ramon had his vest and stuff like that. I actually thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the shirt looks pretty cool. It's like an NWO.
Yeah.
The Red Wolf Pack.
Yeah.
So I'll close out with this. Do you think Lesnar takes the belt from Reigns? And when?
I don't think so, but I think they'll have a match. Probably Saudi Arabia, whenever that big pay-per-view is.
Oh, the Crown Jewel?
Yeah, they'll probably have that. Just because, you have to, appease the people over there.
Yeah.
I would prefer it later. Like, I don't want to see Brock on TV anytime soon. Like, I want to see Brock, closer to our Survivor Series.
Okay.
And then, if you can have Reigns defeat Lesnar, and then you can bring out The Rock.
Yep.
To start that to be moving forward.
That would make sense.
So
that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, then. I think that wraps it up.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right.
I love pro wrestling.
Yes, I love pro wrestling. And so should everybody.
I don't mind sports entertainment either if it's done correctly.
I call it wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
All right, until next time, this is Chicago Tough Sports. I bid you adieu and good night.
Night.
All right, Hitman.
Yep.